I want to go over lab 2.25. So the question is asking to write a program that reads user num and div num as input and outputs user num divided by div num 3 times. So we can end with a new line. If the input is 2002, the output will be 1,500, 250. Let's see how we can do this. I start my program by defining some variables. I say double num1, double user num, comma, div num. I ask the user to input 2 numbers. So cout, please enter 2 numbers. I can use the CNS statement to get user num and div num. So the output should be user num divided by div num 3 times. So we can use a cout statement to do that. If I create another double cube, and I say it's equal to user num, and I divide it by div num, I can say cout cube. And then I can end my program with return 0. Let's try this. If I run my program, I get some errors. I need to change the division to slash, and I run it again. It says main has no body. I need to comment out my other code here. If I run my program, if I go to my output, the computer is asking enter 2 numbers. I put 1.2 and 2.3. The computer is dividing these 2 numbers and displaying the result. So if I want to repeat this code 3 times, I can copy and paste this code 3 times. I go back to my Visual Studio. I repeat this code 3 times. I take out the double. And I run. I go back to my output. I put some numbers like 2002. I go back to my code and I put some end else there to send the output to the next line. Rather than just using equal, I use division equal. And I run it. I go to my output. I'm getting an error here. I change the Q to user num, and I change the other one to div num. I copy and paste that code 3 times, and I run it. I'm getting an error here. So I have a double user name. I'm dividing it by div num and putting the result in the user name. I'm dividing it again by div num. I'm missing a semicolon here. I run my program and I go to the output. I put 3 numbers, which is 2002. After the first one that I'm displaying, I put an end L and I run it. If I put 2002, I get 1,502 I can take out the end L's and put a space here. And I run it. I put 2002. I get 1,550. If you look at lab 2.26, it says expressions for a calorie burned during workout. It says the following equation estimates the average calories burned for a person when exercised, which is based on a scientific journal article. Write a program using inputs age, years, weights, pounds, heart rate, beats per minute, and times minute. So we want to output the average calories burned for a person. Output each following point value with 2 digits after the decimal. If the input is this, the output will be this. I want to write a code that does this. I put my code back here. I'm getting 4 different numbers here. So the inputs are age, weight, heart rate, and time. I define these variables in my code. I say int h, weight, heart rate, and time. I'm defining my variables. I want to output each floating point value with 2 digits after the decimal point. So I can use a cout fix set precision. Before I display the output, I need to do some sort of calculation. So in order to calculate the calories, we have a formula. In order to do that, I need to calculate the calorie. I change my variables to double. I have double age, years, weight, pounds, heart, BPM, times, minute, and calories. I get the age, years, weight, pounds, heart, BPM, times, minute, and I can display it. If I just say cout calories, and I put end L, it will display the calories and it goes to the new line. Let's try this. I put a breakpoint here and I run my program. I go to my output. If I put a 49, 155, 148, and 60, I get 736.206. I go to my code. When you want to get exactly two decimal points, you can use the fix and set precisions. Before calories, I say fix, double left arrow, and I put set precision, and I put 2 and I put double left arrow. I run my program again. I go to my output. If I put 49, 155, 148, and 60, I get 736.21, which is exactly two decimal points. So when you say fixed, it means I want to get exactly. When you say set precision 2, it means I want to get two decimal points. If I take this fixed set precision out and I run my program, you can see that I get, if I put these numbers here like 49, 155, 148, and 60, I get 736.206. When you say fixed set precision 2, since the number after the 0 is 6, this 0 gets rounded to 1, which I will get 21. This is how you can do lab 2.26. Lab 2.27 is using the math functions. It says given three floating point numbers, x, y, and z. Output x to the power of z, x to the power of y to the power of z. The absolute value of y and the square root of x, y to the power of z. So I have three different variables, x, y, and z. I want to get these variables from the user. I say cn x, y, and z. I have three floating point numbers, x, y, and z. I want to display x to the power of z. I say cout double left arrow, POW x, comma, z. In order to do this, I need to include a library, which that library is CNET. If I just do this, I will get x to the power of z. I want to also display x to the power of y to the power of z. I can say cout POW x, comma, and then I can put another parenthesis, POW y, comma, z. I want to display the absolute value of y. I can say cout ABS of y. I want to display the square root of x, y to the power of z. I can create another variable here, which I say double t. I want to find x, y to the power of z. I say POW x, y, comma, x times y, comma, z. I say double I is equal to SQRT of t, and I put a semicolon, and I take out this extra code. So if I run this code and I go to my output, I will get an error. If I go back to my Visual Studio, we have some errors here we have to fix. If I take out this parenthesis and I run it again, If I go to my output and I put three numbers, I get some numbers. After each out statement, I put an int L. I run my program again, and I go to my output. I'm getting some errors here. If I run my program and I go to my output, if I put like 5.0, 6.5, and 3.2, I got 172.466. I get 1.2995 729. I get 6.5 and I get 262.43. If I take out the end L's and I run my program again, and rather than end L, if I just put a space, and I run my program again, if I go to the output, if I put 5.0, 6.5, and 3.2, I get the desired output. This is how we can do lab 2.27. If you pay attention here, this POW will find something to the power of something. ABS will find the absolute value. So ABS will find the absolute value of a variable, which is y. SQRT will find the square root. POW will find something to the power of something. Let's take a look at lab 2.28. This lab says that given four integers, output their product and their average using integer arithmetic. If the input is 8, 10, 5, 4, the output is 1606. We have four different integers that we want to get. I say Cn, num1, num2, num3, and num4. So what we want to do is to display the product and average. I can define another variable named product. I can define another variable named average. I can say product is equal to I can say product equal to num1 times num2 times num3 times num4. I can display the product. I can say average is equal to num1 plus num2 plus num3 plus num4. I can put parentheses around it. I can divide them by 4. And I can display the average. I put a breakpoint here and I run it. I'm getting some errors here. Let's try to fix them. I changed this one to the slash to get division. If I put four numbers here like 8, 10, 5, and 4, I'm getting 1606. I put a space here. I run it again. If I put 8, 10, 5, and 4, if you look at my output, I get 1,606. After that, I can go to the new line. The question is asking you to use integer to find and display. It says 4 integers output the product and their average using integer arithmetic. Integer division discards the fraction. The average is output 6, not 6.75. So there's a note here. It says the test cases include for very large input values. Submit for the grading. The program will fill the test cases. It says output the product and average using floating point arithmetic. The second part of the lab is asking you to use floating point arithmetic. If we want to do that, we need to define a floating point variable. I go back to my Visual Studio. I say double product 2 is equal to, I do the same thing. I say double average 2 is equal to, I do the same thing. I see out product 2 and average 2. And I put the space between them. I take out the extra space here and I run it. I put the semicolon and I run it. If I put 4 numbers here like 8, 10, 5, and 4, I get 1,606. I get 1,606.75. If I convert one of these numbers, let's go back to Visual Studio. If I convert this number to floats using a static underline cast, and if I do the same thing for the num one on the second one, and I run my code again, and if I go to the output, if I put 8, 10, 5, and 4, I run my code again, and I go to my output. If I put 8, 10, 5, and 4, I get 1,606. I get 1600 and 6.75. If I want to get exactly 3 decimal points, I can use the fixed and set precision. I go back to my Visual Studio. Before I display the variables, I say fixed, double left arrow, set precision, and I put 2, and I display them. If I run my code again and I go to my output, if I put 8, 10, 5, and 4, I get 1600.00 and 6.75. If I want to get exactly 3 decimal points, I can use the fixed and set precision 3. If I run my program and I go to the output, if I put 8, 10, 5, and 4, I get 16.00 and 6.750, which is exactly 3 decimal points. This is how we can do lab 2.28. Let's take a look at lab number 2.29. It says welcome message. Write a program that takes the first name as an input, outputs a welcome message. If the input is Pat, the output is hello Pat. We have a string here, which is the username. I say cn username. When I get this, I want to display that. So I say cout double left arrow. I put double quotations and I say, hey, username. If I run this program, and if I go to my output, if I put Pat and I hit enter, it says, hey, Pat. I put an exclamation mark inside double quotations and I run it again. If I put Pat, it will display, hey, Pat. This was a very simple lab. Let's take a look at the next lab. Lab 2.30, which is converting to dollars. It says given 3 input values representing count of nickels, dimes, and quarters. Output the total amount of dollars and cents. Output each floating point value with 2 digits after decimal point. If the input is 3, 1, and 4, we want to display 1.25. I start by defining the variables, which is double dollars and quarters, dimes, and nickels. After I define my variables, I can get the nickels, dimes, and quarters. I can say quarters times 25 plus dimes times 10 plus nickels times 5 divided by 100. I used a fixed and set precision to make it exactly 2 decimal points and I display it. If I run my program and if I go to my output, if I put the 3, 1, and 4, I get 1.25, which is the desired output. This is how we can do lab 2.30. Let's take a look at the next lab. Lab 2.30, I discussed it, which is the last one. I want you guys to finish all the labs in chapter 2. If you have any questions, let me know.